Chaos Origins is here, and most of the hype is understandably surrounding Ritual of Light and Darkness, but I want to talk just a little bit about the Sacred Beast deck, or I guess the new Sacred Beast deck, as a lot of the older cards don't work with them, except for Awakening of the Sacred Beast, which fits in based off its name, but funnily, the effect is not compatible with new cards. But regardless, all three have been retrained, and they're no longer bricks, as they can reveal themselves and search for a Sacred Beast card, and then you discard one card. Raviel searches monsters, Haman searches spells, and Uriah searches traps. And when they're on the field, Raviel can tribute 2 monsters to wipe your opponent's board, Haman burns your opponent when a monster is sent to the graveyard, and Uriah can quick effect pop a spell or trap, and that effect cannot be responded to. And getting them onto the field is super easy with the new version of Fallen Paradise. Up to thrice per turn during your main phase, you can send 3 other cards of the same type, monster, spell, or trap, from your hand or face up on field to the graveyard. Then you can special summon 1 Sacred Beast monster from your hand, deck, graveyard, or banishment. And if you do, it's unaffected by your opponent's activated spell and trap effects. If you control a Sacred Beast monster whose original level is 10, you can draw 2 cards. You can only use this effect once per turn. So you still need 3 tributes, but Martyr of the Sacred Beast and the new continuous spells and traps grab each other from the deck, so it's really easy. I think it's more of a fun or casual deck if you're running all 3, but the more competitively viable lists do look interesting as they omit Uriah so you don't have to run the traps, and they make use of the high level monsters by running Gustav Max and Verudris in the extra deck, and with Haman and the new creator being Thunder monsters that have effects in the hand, you can also run Thunder Dragon Colossus. But this video isn't really an archetype overview. I wanted to briefly talk about nostalgia in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is arguably too nostalgia heavy, but it's not always distributed evenly between each series. I think they've been doing a better job recently, but we all know DM reigns supreme, so some GX stuff was definitely needed. And as much as it is nostalgia, it is functionally a new archetype. Now yes, it is inspired by the older cards like Fallen Paradise, the original 3 Sacred Beasts, and the creator, but it is a fresh take. Ritual of Light and Darkness follows the same path, but the only thing tethering it to the past is the names and art. The old BLS stuff isn't run in the new deck, and thankfully you don't have to run the old vanilla rituals. And I kind of prefer this style to the constant support that some legacy decks get. Not to say those decks shouldn't get more support, but I'd rather something like Rolad or Sacred Beast more often than the DM and Blue Eyes cards we get every year. But a complaint I've heard around the community that I kind of mentioned earlier was the fact that you can't run the old Sacred Beast cards in this archetype. And I understand this complaint to an extent. If you bought the Sacred Beast structure deck, or you have the originals from the GX era, it's a bit of a shame that you don't get to play them. But I actually think not needing the old cards is a big appeal of the deck now. As cool as the original Sacred Beasts are, they kinda suck. You wouldn't want to draw these cards, and the new ones are just so much better. And the more important point is the whole archetype is in Chaos Origins. There are older cards that fit into the deck, but the core of the deck is in the set. You don't have to go chasing for a random card that got 1 printing. It is ridiculously priced because the archetype got new support. And from personal experience, I've avoided building certain decks just because of the hassle of acquiring old cards. And I think that's also a big appeal to new and returning players, which an archetype like this is probably targeted towards. And my final talking point on the Sacred Beast is the future and what they might imply. This iconic GX trio has been remade, so it has to get people thinking about the Egyptian gods. I've always had the opinion that Konami won't make retrains, but when you consider these retrains and the fact that Immortal Phoenix is the next OCG set, we may be getting closer than ever. Unless Konami is baiting us with the set name, I'd expect to see a new Winged Dragon of Ra, or at least a new version of Phoenix mode. But I would find it a little surprising to retrain one god card and hold off on the others, unless the sets following would release the other 2. And it would actually make more sense if each god card got a deck to its own, as opposed to cramming them all into one, although it'd be pretty cool if you could play them all together. But I want to hear your thoughts as well. What do you think about how Konami approaches nostalgia? What do you think about the new Sacred Beasts? And what do you think about Egyptian god card retrains? Leave all your thoughts in the comments down below, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.